No, all good. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Friday, July 29th edition of the Contributor Comms meeting. We are a part of the Special Interest Group for Contributor Experience in the Kubernetes project, and as such, we have a code of conduct that we abide by, which basically says be respectful to your fellow speakers and attendees, and generally be excellent to each other. So I set up the notes below our usual table of active action items, which is so long at this point. It makes me proud to see it, honestly. It's great. But I don't see any updates, big wins, or new items for us to go over before the table. So if that's accurate, I guess we'll go ahead and jump into the table. Sound good, folks? Cool. I feel like we usually find more stuff while we're going through the table anyway than we do at the beginning. But just in case, you never know. Sometimes folks have requested something on Slack during the week or something. It's good to go over that first. Hina isn't here, so we'll go ahead and skip her item. This one.
I do have a win. Sorry.
Oh, wonderful. Please, yeah.
I mean, kind of a win. And I mentioned this, I think, to you yesterday, Caslin. So I was in the GitHub management meeting yesterday, anyways, earlier this week. And believe it or not, there was a GitHub employee there. And they want to contribute to Kubernetes. And they were like, I work on the projects board team, but if you need help elsewhere, let us know. And I'm like, ooh, contributor comms could use help with projects, maybe. And maybe Hina could get plugged in there. That's what popped it into my mind. But it's Omer, I can't say his last name. That has a door. He lives in the US, but I don't think he's from here. So yeah, good stuff. I'll get his name into their name into the.
Yeah, GitHub is quite interested because I have a meeting set up next week with one of their teams on code spaces for migrating our Catacoda scenario. So
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's track them down. So sorry for that. But
no, that's
continue.
Lovely. Something we've been talking about for a while is coming up with different roles. And one of the roles that we had considered is like a PM type role, plus all of the various issues that we have with GitHub project management tooling. So it sounds like they could potentially be a really helpful person there. I have to get them in to a future meeting. Thank you.
Just the name, please. There we go.
Cool.
Omer bin Das. Yeah. Too many vowels. Anyways.
Alrighty. So the next item is that whole thing that's been going on for a while on Chris's article on the squash command. Frederico, did we decide if you were going to go ahead and open up a PR or hold on this?
Yes, and I've looked into it, but I haven't yet opened it because
okay.
Before doing it, there's a couple of comments there. Then I think it makes sense to address them before submitting a new PR. So my plan would be to clone or fork the existing file from Chris, reflect some of those additional changes that were requested on that PR, and then open a new one. And I actually worked on this in the morning, but I got lost. It's a bit circular, and it needs some work before being pushed.
Sounds good. Alrighty, so we'll move on from that one unless there's anything you want to ask for help on or anything.
Federico,
No.
whatever you need from me, just let me know. I'm just kind of slammed, and
Okay, no, absolutely, yeah. But
Yeah.
I'll try to avoid major questions, because otherwise you would be doing that in the PR itself. So
true.
yeah, but when I have something more final, I likely ping you just for you to have a very cursory view and see if it makes sense, and then I will take it from there.
Wonderful. And I think I saw this morning, I have a PR queued for when that happens to like redirect everything over to the Kate site. So yeah.
Perfect.
Sounds lovely. I think there's also an issue out right now about updating Squash so that it'll maintain an LGTM label when you something like that.
So when you do that, Squash, I'm starting to learn the edge cases. Like in GitHub management, it like totally ruins like the messaging for the commits, where it's like added so and so to this repo. Like that's the commit message, and it just completely mangles that. So yeah, can't use that tool there for adding people to GitHub. So that's fun.
Interesting.
Mhm.
I should also find that issue. Where is it? There it is. Retain LGTM through squashes for Kubernetes repo. I'll add that into our notes.
So Chris, isn't there any way to update the comment from our side while doing this? If we do the retain squash.
Update the comment like from the user perspective.
Yeah.
I don't know, because the squash command puts like an extra squash commit in. So it's like actually just invalid data. So you got like 3 good pieces of data and then 1 bad piece of data as the output. It's
Oh,
non-optimal, right? Like for adding people with our prescribed, guidance for adding folks. And I'm sorry, my camera's freaking out. I have no idea why. So with our guidance for adding folks, like 1 person gets added to whatever SIG per commit, right? So if I wanted to do like 10 people to KK, I would do that as 10 different commits in 1 PR. And each commit message is adding username to SIG. And we want individual commits for each and every member add. That's the guidance there. So yeah, this is where it gets like, yes, it's possible, but it messes up something because of our guidance.
yeah.
Sounds like a fun mess.
Yes, it is a mess. I don't think we're going to try and fix it either, is the impression I got.
I mean, it does sound a bit
squirrely.
Yeah.
It's a little squirrely one, yeah. I mean, how do you say squash and then keep commits? I don't know.
Also, slightly unrelated to this, but something I was thinking about last time is, should I share my screen as I'm going through the notes?
It wouldn't hurt.
I never do that, so I feel like I should. Feel like it would be especially useful.
Would be useful for
Can't really hear you, Atarva.
You're saying a lot and you're very garbled. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I was saying, won't it be good if we have this retain squash commit in the cake contributor side, because it's the contributor side mainly has many blocks in it. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
while writing a blog, there would be many reviews done, and therefore there would be many commits done to it. So instead of 25, 30 commits, there it would be good for just one commit with squashed.
I think you can squash for website commits, can't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Website stuff is fine and actually encouraged. Yeah. Because normally it's multiple people. When you get towards the end there, it's like, oh, tweak this, tweak that, done. And that's when you squash.
This is specifically in the Kubernetes repo.
Yeah. So like for website or KDev or a bunch of other places, this isn't going to apply, I don't think, although it could, right? Like we would have to, A, they have to figure out a solution, and then B, move over to it and then spread it across the different orgs, GitHub orgs specifically. And I imagine that's just something we can do after the fact, right? Like, please add this bot to so-and-so repo, right? Like, done. Not sure. I know Nabroon, is he on? He's involved with this, but yeah.
Not on at the moment, so.
Nope. And that's okay. I'm curious what they're changing. It's only 2 commits. Oh, there you go. It's actually Prow plugins to add different things there, and K website is in there.
Interesting.
So yeah, looks like they're going to, whatever the fix is, it's going to be.
But we already have it in K website, just this will retain LGTM through squash.
Right.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, we already have it in K website. It's just going to keep it in KK. Now, if we want to do it for other things, all we have to do is add whatever org to this file that's being modified in this commit. Makes sense? Cool.
Thumbs up.
So I'm actually going to bookmark this just in case. Like this might come back to us at some point, I feel like, because we may want that feature and capability at some point.
Good to know. I'm also supposed to be involved in this, so need to get a better handle on that understanding in my own brain.
I think the biggest thing to remember about anything like under the test infra org, it's all YAML, or if it's website related, it's an Nginx config, right? Like, so all you really do is have to find the right YAML thing and plug the right thing in, and you're done.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's not as complex as it feels.
Testing was actually the first group that I tried to join when I tried to become a contributor to Kubernetes. It was very much not what I anticipated. Coming from being a QA engineer, it was not
testing,
like testing. Yeah.
And then there's test infra, which is like it's basically all the infrastructure that makes Kubernetes run. Calling it test infra, I think they want to do a name change, to be honest with you, because it's way more than just test infrastructure at this point.
Yeah. Even SIG testing, a lot of their projects are more around tooling and stuff.
Mm-hmm. They keep in mind a lot of these names are like legacy too, right? Like the scope of the work has changed because, well, the infrastructure and the testing tooling and all that stuff has been in place for a while now.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Alrighty, so we'll move on from that item. The next item is buffer status. So I mentioned last week, I had just come back from DevOps Days Seattle, and I had noticed during that week, Bob had made an update that someone from the CNCF is ready to put the billing information on a buffer account for us. But it sounded like we needed to create a buffer account. And I confirmed that with Bob this week. And yesterday I created a buffer account with my own email address to just kind of start testing things out. And so now today I'm going to ask Bob if we can use that account and like change the owner on it to something more appropriate, or if we need to create an account using some Kubernetes email address, or how we want to handle like the email address that the buffer account is attached to, I guess.
This might be one of those things where it's the community address. I don't
know. Yeah, I'm thinking that's
I don't-
probably it's something
Yeah.
like that, but
But you need to make sure you're on that list before you change it. That's the thing.
yeah, exactly.
And like the list members is pretty, I think they were trying to clean it up, but I don't know.
Yeah. So once we get that worked out, we will have buffer and we'll need to start learning it. Well, once we get the CNCF person in to fix it.
Yeah, like I am here for buffer training, so just let me know.
Excellent. So hopefully next week I'll keep you up to date, Chris.
Yeah,
so
let me know.
you can-
I'll make sure I'm there. Let me see what I'm doing next week.
I'm very excited to learn about this tool. The account I created yesterday, I just kind of flipped through the pages and I was like, this looks useful.
It really is.
So I'm excited.
Yeah. Oh,
Also useful
so-
just for my own stuff. So thinking I might use that on my own.
Nice. Yeah, I've used it for, well, what did I use before? I used something else before. It wasn't Hootsuite, it was something else.
Hmm.
And then that thing went away or became less useful somehow. And I moved over to Buffer at Matt Broberg's device. So yeah.
He does give good advice on these types of things.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. So that's the status. Let us know if you have any questions or anything, but hopefully next week we'll start learning that. And my Zoom wants to do an interesting configuration today. Anyway. Next item, auto-generating blog tweets and scheduling tweets. I said last time that I was going to combine these and then I didn't because they're kind of separate things, but they're both hopefully going to be resolved once we get buffer. So we're on the verge of them being looked at as separate items again.
Nice.
So I'll just kind of skip over these as usual because hopefully next week or in the next couple of weeks at least, we'll have buffer and be able to start looking into how we fix these couple of items. Well, scheduling tweets, I think will just be fixed by it. Auto-generating blog tweets will take a little looking into still.
Yeah, the auto-generating blog tweets, I think we just need to tie the RSS feed in with Zapier to buffer and off it goes.
Alrighty.
We'll just reach out to Nigel for that, I think.
Zapier. I should put a note about that for when we're ready to look at
I
this.
think Nigel is working on YouTube automation also, right? About Zapier or something.
Mm-hmm. But like literally we need one rule to say, hey,
Yeah.
go from kdev to a templated like tweet kind of thing.
Hmm.
And then we just throw in data at it. Like, you know, like from the blog, title, URL, done.
Was it Rajula working on that? I
Was he?
think someone was working on this RSS feed and
It was, that was a separate
Rajula. Oh, really? Oh, I don't remember it clearly, but there was something going on about RSS feed.
yeah, it's
Rajula
because
added. Yeah.
we had asked Rajula about doing that for the existing GitHub process.
Mhm.
So that was not with buffer. That's the
Oh,
difference.
so now integrate with buffer.
Right. That's
So,
going to
yeah,
be our task.
Yeah, there's not a great way to get things to buffer other than direct input. So that's where the API comes in. And it's entirely possible we could just write a shell script and make the API stuff work, but
Yeah. And that's the note on this is that Rajula was blocked on this process on getting it working with the GitHub Actions way of posting to Twitter because he needed to use another open source tool, RSS to issues, which was an action that someone had already created, but it couldn't be used directly because we wanted to be able to modify the tweet content. So we just kind of were like, actually, we're just going to switch to buffer anyway. So let's not worry about this and we'll fix it once we get buffer. Yep.
Cool.
And then the next item is scheduling tweets, which buffer will just be like, and here's buffer.
I will put this bug in everybody's head real quick. Think about how often the Kate's contributor account should tweet. and what times of days it should tweet, right? Like, because we'll build a schedule in Buffer and it'll just auto tweet out at those times. So that is something to consider. I mean, there's a lot of data that we can and research that I could throw at you to say these are the good times, these are the bad times, but in general, during sunlight hours, someplace on Earth is what we want to follow. Now, where that someplace is, we'll see. It could just be UTC based. Who knows?
Speaking of which, I just realized I never created a PR for the social lead role. So I should do that after this meeting
There you go.
on my list. That will be the kind of thing that the social media lead will be in charge of. We'll figure that out. Which is actually our next item, is talking about roles. So social media coordinator, events coordinator, Avinash, you had a HackMD out in draft. You haven't done a PR for that yet either, have you?
No, I haven't.
Cool. I don't think I ever actually properly reviewed this. I need to do that. Finding things I haven't done. Review. All right. And project manager. So the new GitHub person might have some interesting tips on how we should design that role. And there's this one that we've been talking about that Atarva came up with, which is like an approver leader type role, who would have kind of a more broad overview of the contributor comms repos and things that we do. I'm thinking they might also be the meeting leader. So that's something we've been kind of going back and forth on and discussing how to design that role. And Atarva, I think I'd ask you to start working on a first attempt at how you want to design that role. Is that right? Am I remembering that conversation right?
Yeah. Also, we have got Chris here today, so we could discuss about the developer role as well.
Oh, the dev site role.
Yeah, dev site role.
That's true. I think we had brought that up in the last meeting where you were here, Chris, and the idea was to create a role for like ownership of the developer site from the contributor comms group perspective. And you have the most experience with the site, so you'd be the best person to scope out kind of what that role should be, I think. Maybe we should see if someone else in the group can work with you to get that actually written out, though. Does that sound like a good plan, Chris?
Yeah, sure.
How do you want to do it?
I mean, I don't know. What do you need from me exactly? Is just how to
your
update the
expertise.
website? Okay, yeah. Easy
Yeah,
enough.
just like what items do you think we should be handling with the developer site? Any tips you have for how we actually do those things so that we can build that into a role definition?
Cool. I would encourage multiple people from multiple disciplines on that role as well.
Okay.
Just
yeah,
because...
you were one of them. Also, Tim Bannister. We have Bob. Also, Jiffy. These are people who are working on contributor sites.
Yeah, exactly. So like there's a ton of folks actually
already.
Yeah.
They're from outside of the contributor comms group perspective, though. Like there's more to the dev site than just what we do with it. So like they'll still be there, and that's not something we need to define in terms of their roles in it. We just need to define what our role is in it. That makes sense.
And regarding this point, so last time Avinash spoke about it, and actually I had a check on this too. I mean, to describe this role, I don't know if this is also related to this dev site.
Dev role?
Avinash, yeah, kind of like.
That's a separate role.
That's a separate, okay.
This is it's the one after
site.
This.
Okay, yeah, so it's I was confused, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's common. There's the dev site, the contributor. Maybe I should say contributor site.
Yeah. Contributor site. Yeah.
because it's called K8s.dev. So I think of it as like the dev site, but
Mhm.
yeah, the contributor site.
And then there
there's
was a
the,
K-dev mailing list at one point, which even makes it even more confusing. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah. But anyway, the concept of the developer role is bringing someone into our group who is more familiar with coding activities in the project, kind of in a general sense. Someone who probably works as a developer, they do a lot of development type work, and they have some understanding of where things are in the Kubernetes repos. That's something that we haven't really had in our group, and I know a number of our members are more interested in learning about those types of things. It also comes up in our work periodically. So this is something we need to define so that we can recruit someone into it.
I see. Yeah, this is for all the repos, like most of the key repos.
As broad as we can get, I guess.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
Sounds like it'll be a tough thing to find, but
Yeah.
yeah. And I think the action on that right now, I didn't put anyone as lead on that, but I know you, Emran, had some ideas on what we want from that.
So I think maybe we wrongly understood. So Avinash and myself started looking at the contributor site to understand the requirements, what it actually does, and that's where we had a async chat this week, and yeah.
Okay.
Maybe
so
that's where I made a progress. So I made a progress on looking at contributor site. It's like a similar to the K website, and yeah. So that's
you have now
something I've looked up. Yeah.
You have now voluntold yourself to help Chris with defining the contributor site one.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Sounds good. But then, and we also want to kind of make a wish list for what we want this developer role to be. And you and Avinash, we're gonna look into that.
Yeah, maybe we can look. I don't know if Avinash is still interested.
Okay.
But we can have.
And anyone, of course, is welcome to contribute to that. If you create a document somewhere and other folks can add into it their wish list items for things they would like to learn, that we can kind of parse out what the skills of this person would need to be. We need to start figuring that out at least somehow. Cool. And then I feel like there should be like blogging liaison or something like that. I have no idea how
I mean, there's going to be a need to be a little familiar with how the site's structured and built, like Hugo, Doxy, Netlify, like those three things are kind of important. Although Doxy has gotten to the point where it's just plug and play, thankfully.
And maybe as we explore these two roles, we'll actually end up condensing them into the contributor site role, as that's probably the primary place where you would do that kind of stuff. I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, that last role concept is this liaison to the blogging subproject team for the main Kubernetes website. So this would be managing collaboration with the blog subproject, making sure review and other blog tasks are on like our list and are getting completed, and working with storytellers who are working on blogs. I haven't assigned anyone to actually writing this out. I feel like I have a good concept of what the role should be, so I'll assign myself to writing out that whole definition.
Overwork yourself.
I think that's okay. Granted, I'm out Monday through Wednesday of next week, so it might not get done in the next week, but it might get done the week after. It's just writing out the draft of what the role should be in like a markdown file. So
yeah,
that'll get us started. Okay. Any other discussion on roles before I move on to the next item?
Yeah, just one thing about the developer role, which I think Imran asked the same thing, but what sites are we looking at to contribute to? What,
Yes.
because a contributor, as a contributor comms, we basically have somewhat contribution to the contributor side. But apart from that, what are the other things? Other repositories. There was this contributors to it repository.
It'll
automation.
continue to exist as well.
Yeah, we'll still end
Yeah.
up using that from time to time, I feel like.
Yeah.
That could be a repository, okay. Yeah.
And
So one.
I mean, and the actual Kates.io site isn't out of scope per se. It's just not something we publish to all the time. Does that make sense? Like we would love to publish there or publish it on KDev a week later, 2 weeks later, publish it on Kubernetes.io with a canonical link back to the dev site. So it helps with our search engine optimization. So just keep that in mind, like Kates.io is in play too.
Mm-hmm. So the contributor site, Kates.io, the tweet repo,
Mhm.
wherever the Slackbot stuff is.
Yes. The Slackbot
And-
stuff.
yeah.
And then let me check this notes file real quick. Managing labels, that kind of stuff.
Managing labels.
I feel like
how
This
to,
is
like,
about the GitHub management.
yeah,
Yeah.
no. Like our repo needed labels at one point
Oh,
added to it.
oh,
So
yeah.
like you need to know how to do that. And I just have an example sitting here.
that's a bit of overlap with the concept of this approver leader role that Atharva suggested.
Yeah.
We
So
have we ever considered maybe we have too many roles right now?
Yeah, I was
I mean,
just
that's
going to say
the-
the same thing.
That's
There
the
are many
idea.
overlapping responsibilities between these roles because Kate's contributor site developer role is overlapping with the developer role somehow. Because
Well, I
Yeah, at
mean,
times.
the
I
whole
feel-
concept of this list of roles is just brainstorming. This
Yeah.
is not the list of roles we will have. This is the
Got it.
list of concepts of roles we might want to have.
yeah.
So that could be
So-
combined. Yeah.
They can be combined, they can be changed. The developer role in particular is a very nebulous concept that was just like, we don't have anyone to help mentor these people. What would that person need to look like? So it's fine to find overlap. It's just we have to define what these are as we go through and iterate on them. So that may be the case, is that this role is actually just the contributor site role combined with the leader role. That's what it's sounding like to me, honestly.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. Caslin, remember that? Yes, I shared it with you and ContribEx. Good. Remember that doc that I had, like contrib comms admin know-how thing that I wrote up? Like it's just like a
Yes.
stupid notes file for myself. Yeah, that still needs to get in the repo somehow.
That does. That might be part of this approver leader type role definition.
Maybe.
We could
I
work it
mean,
into that.
it's just a bunch of how to do X, Y, and Z type stuff, right? Like, I'll just drop the doc in here for a second.
That person should know how to manage all these things at times,
Mm,
how to add labels, etc.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like we need to have a better doc than just this thing hanging out in my Google workspace. So like an actual repo doc with this stuff in it, but like more explained, right? Like here it's just like examples and look for this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that stuff falls solidly into this approver leader type role that we're building
Mhm.
concept of. Cool. So I'm thinking I might just get rid of this developer role right now because it sounds like we're pretty much leaning toward it being consumed by the leader concept as well as the contributor site concept.
I would say somehow that like those roles are more technical than these roles kind of thing. Does that make sense?
I would say, yeah, I would say that let's get rid of the creative side role and just merge it into the developer.
We'll
Like a
get rid
tech-
of the developer role in favor of the contributor site role.
Maybe we could have a tech lead like other groups.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were trying to conceptualize here.
Yeah, okay. Now my brain's aligning. Sorry. Third pot of coffee today. It's been a day.
I mean, it's 8 a.m. for me every week.
I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, just instead of K8 developer role or developer role, just make something more general.
Yeah.
Well, I
put,
just
like,
renamed it to tech lead role.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
make it that.
I still think, I don't know, we'll figure that out over time.
It could be a role by committee. You can't have multiple tech leads.
That's true. I mean, it could be just that the contributor site leader and the approver leader, whatever we're going to call that,
Mm.
are the committee of tech leads, the
Yeah.
code tech leads. That might be. This may be contrib site plus leadership roles as co-leads. All right. Cool. And then the blogging liaison, I still think, is its own separate role
Yes.
concept.
Because that you just need to be good at writing. You don't need to be good technically at that, to be honest with you. Like
Yeah. Of course.
Like it's great to understand the concepts and everything like that, right? But you don't have to like be able to do Kubernetes the hard way to write a blog.
Indeed. Alrighty. So we'll move on from that. Next item, changing the contributor comms name. So I checked up on this week. I checked with Harshita, who is the one who created the PRs, to make sure that she was all good to go with it and had seen the recommendation from Nate W, who made a suggestion on how we should do that slightly differently. Sounds like we're probably just going to go forward with what we have right now. Worry about that suggestion later or something. But the blocker on that was that Josh just needed the go ahead to approve all of those commits, and he's currently at scale. So we can't do that right now. He suggested asking Bob or someone else if we want to go ahead and do that. So I'll check into that today. That's the status. By working with approvers. Okay. So next item, SIG Spotlight updates. I think Perniswar isn't here, but Frederico and Atarva. Frederico, you want to start? Oh, you're talking, but you're muted. Or I can't hear you at least.
Something else is muted.
Yeah. I think it's not Zoom that's muted, maybe hardware mute or something.
Wire unplugged.
Nope.
Zoom settings. Ooh, fun.
Okay. You
One of
try
those
turning it off and
things.
back on again.
Yeah.
Okay. Atarva, I gave you the overview of what you need to know about creating a SIG Spotlight. Had you selected a SIG to do?
Yeah, I have decided I will be going with SIG testing,
SIG testing.
but I haven't started anything yet.
Okay, sounds good.
I had a question with for Federico, but he's not here. I went
He'll
through
be
the
back.
blogs. Is it was it an interview type of thing? Was it a
Yes.
video?
Well,
Highly
So-
recommend doing it via email.
or I usually use a doc.
Yeah. Share a doc back and forth, ask your questions in the doc kind of thing.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Hey, Frederico's back.
Hello.
Ah,
Now you're really loud.
yes. Well, I don't know what happened. I just clicked buttons at random and it worked. So it's chaos engineering. Yes.
Nice.
Quite loud and a little garbled. I need to fix those settings later, but we can
Yeah.
at least hear you. So
Okay. Wait. Yeah, it's on the computer microphone, so that's why.
yeah, that sounds right.
So very quickly and slowly to avoid any misunderstanding, the SIG storage one is still so it's ready, but it's waiting for approval. I guess that even in terms of the PR, it's done. I'm just waiting for the official go.
Right. So
Correct.
that's in
So-
PR form now, and it's ready for
Yeah.
review as a PR. Right.
And it's reviewed by Tim Bannister, for example, but it's waiting for the actual approval, the final approval.
Okay.
SIG architecture, I've already sent the questions, so that is ongoing from the Google Docs. Questions are there, and now it's just a matter of interacting with the SIG architecture co-share. So that's ongoing. The SIG security one, I haven't heard back from the person that I've contacted before, so it's on ice at the moment.
Sounds good. And there was a question while you were out. It sounds like for your interview with SIG architecture, and I'm guessing for SIG storage as well, did you do a Google Doc back and forth type thing, or what method did you choose for your interview?
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
And better now, perhaps? Or no?
And
Yes.
better,
Same.
yes.
Okay. So suddenly it came to life. So the question was around the method that I used for my interview with SIG architecture.
And SIG storage as well. Might as well. ask.
Yeah. So what I've in the beginning, I wasn't sure if I should do, for example, a live interview in terms of a call, a video. I haven't done that like that. What I've done for both of them was to use an initial Google Docs file with an initial set of questions. Then they do a first pass. I add more questions because sometimes for the interviews to be interesting, you must really reflect the answers and do a follow-up, etc. So I do this 2-3 times, do a final reordering of themes, because sometimes they make more sense when you do a final read. Questions that you made in the beginning make more sense at the end, etc. And that's it. I review the final form with the person that I've interviewed, and then I open the PR. I may move to interviews because I feel that maybe they would provide a more dynamic workflow. On the other hand, there's a lot of work after the fact in transcribing and stuff like that.
That when who did it? Anyways, I did a video interview with somebody and handed it off to somebody else, and it was a nightmare for them, even though I had like a good transcript. So
Right.
just keep that in mind. It is a lot of extra work.
Yeah, if you do the video, it might have a more conversational tone to it, but
yeah,
so much more work.
And at that point, it's almost like, should you just throw it on YouTube?
Yeah.
That is exactly what I thought. In the end, if if it's to be on YouTube, it makes absolute sense to go that route. If it's not,
Absolutely.
then I prefer to add the conversational aspects by doing these interactions.
Yeah, like the
Afterwards.
iterations on it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say that when I did interviews and did like a SIG spotlight, I did not do the iteration. I just gave them the questions and worked from there. So optional.
Yeah.
Whatever method works for you, but
Yeah.
we've seen that sometimes video is hard.
Yeah.
Happens.
I instead kind of added that conversational element by kind of giving my thoughts on each response in between a little bit.
True. And nice drawings.
That's true. I did
Which-
add that. So
Yes.
because I can. Cool. So does that sound good? Any other
Yeah.
stuff you want to
Yeah,
address right now?
totally.
Cool. So if you
Uh,
have any questions as you're going along with the process, you know where to find us. Sounds good.
On that note, I'm
Yes.
not sure if there's a specific action item on this later on, but I did push that change to the blogging instructions that we have in the contributor site around actually committing to opening the PR in the right repo, and also added some instructions around first create a Google Docs or HackMD to avoid the large scale reviewing process in GitHub, and then follow with the PR, and the PR should be open first in the contributed site, etc. So
Can you send us the PR or the issue? Or
yeah, I
whatever it
can.
is?
It's I sent to the actual to our Slack channel.
the
but
Slack channel.
Let me
Okay. Lovely.
let me get it.
Yeah, it needs to get in the
Yep,
notes.
I had
or
missed that.
something.
It's here. I've already had some feedback from Tim Bannister. I've also added you as a reviewer, Caslin.
Perfect.
So
Looks like that was this morning, so
here.
that's why I haven't seen that yet.
it's there.
Yeah,
Nice. Okay.
gotcha. That link. Okay,
Why
and
have
this
rights and K community?
updates the blogging instructions. And we have less than 10 minutes left, so we might not get through our list today.
Oof. We might want to work on making our list shorter.
True. Next item is Katakoda, which Deba gave us a short update on before he had to drop off.
Mhm.
Which
They're
I
switching
should
over to
add into
GitHub
notes.
Spaces, and there'll be an APAC blog series about it out this week, apparently. Okay. Cool.
Oh no, that's not what I wanted to copy. There we go. All right, so I added that update into
I'm
the
very
notes.
curious to see how this works.
Indeed. Will be interesting. All right, next item, annual report tweets. I realized halfway through this week that I totally dropped those tweets off of my radar. I know they're sitting there ready to go. So
Oh no.
yeah, sorry, I will get those out.
Do you need help with that?
I'm trying to like space them. So I think I just need to set like alerts on my phone to go in and do it every day.
Use buffer.
Yeah, that would be the answer if we could have it, but that is the reason this is an issue right now, is that we don't have buffer yet. So soon this will not be an issue anymore.
Yeah, as soon as you get buffer, use that, and then
Yep.
be done with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And circling back to something that Chris mentioned a while ago around time zones and the time of day to tweet, it would be interesting as well to see if we could identify interesting ways that are not overly invasive to promote the tweets that we make, like having the SIGs themselves retweeting, or for the SIGs that have presence, or the other Kubernetes accounts. I don't know, some kind of friendly improvement on the ability to make the tweets reach a wider audience. I was just thinking about it because one thing is to put the tweets out there. The other thing is to make them as visible as possible, right?
Right. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you got to activate your marketing, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
I'm not
So-
aware of any other SIGs having Twitter
no other
accounts.
SIGs have Twitter accounts. And I think that's by design.
Yeah.
The case.io account is controlled by CNCF, but we can
So-
always hit up the social media channel, I think, in the CNCF Slack and drop our tweet in there, and it'll get picked up by whomever
true.
wants to pick it up. I think
Yep.
there's a social media channel in there. Could be wrong.
By the way, who is in charge of the main Kubernetes Twitter handle?
CNCF, the Cloud Native
Oh.
Computing Foundation, owns it,
Yeah.
not us.
Yeah. So it's social media, all one word, and the CNCF Slack. Like if you drop your tweets there, it'll get picked up by folks.
And I also often share the links to the tweets when we have a new tweet in the contributor experience channel,
Nice.
if they're relevant to things that like folks in there had asked for or something in particular, then I'll post them in there and be like, please share this tweet. So
And yeah, I mean, between Caslin, myself, all you really need is like 2 more people and that thing goes viral. Right? Like you
Yeah,
get 2
true,
more
true.
people with 10K followers, it's gonna go
Yeah.
gangbusters, right? Like so it might be wise to think about people in the community right now that we could ask directly when tweets come out. Like, you have a large presence. Could you please retweet this if it's in your
That's-
best? Yeah.
That's exactly the kind of thing that I was thinking. Yeah, in the
But we
friendly
would-
way, in a not very
Like,
yeah.
you know, have a small like group of people
Yeah.
that you just let know kind of thing, and you can add on to it as you go kind of deal. I don't know.
And-
There's- yeah.
And it could even be like once a week or once a month in very specific ones, because just doing that once in a while, it would also raise the amount of followers, which
Yeah.
would then build up. And so, yeah. So it's not like asking for retweets of everything that we say, but in some specific ones, it could be interesting to use that.
alrighty. Updates to the blogging instructions. Added that in. Migration, annual report. Validate command is broken on GitHub. I had asked Rajula about that, but Rajula has been swamped with work, so he hasn't been able to help out with that. This is another one of those things that would be in one of those tech leadership roles.
Mhm.
APAC Meet Our Contributors blog. Sounds like there's one of those going out about the
There's a couple of those in flight, I think,
yeah.
based off of chatter I've seen.
So based on time, we'll go ahead and skip that. There's an issue with the developer site, which is a scheduling issue. Petition.
I had a
wanted to
look at
do
it.
that.
I
Okay.
mean, I don't know
Yeah.
if Pritesh has some update. I think already Mr. Bob Tales, I think it's this one, or Bob Flynn.
Yeah.
I gave an update. I think that might work. I guess it's similar. I looked at the it's like in Kubernetes IO they have the same YAML without this flag. So if we just do it, this build feature, so it's made part. It's for the preview. This flag is used for the preview. It forces to. So yeah, let's cut out the details. So it might work. I guess could be simple. But I just want to know if he's still working on it. It's assigned to him. I'm not sure. I'll ask him maybe in the GitHub so that if he has any update.
Bob runs this show, so
Yeah.
Bob
he
does
may
a
be working
lot.
on it.
Yeah, like
so much.
It's
you
a
offering
second-
to help would probably be very welcomed, I would say.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll ask.
Yeah, let's reword that as Bob made a suggestion of how to fix. I'm going to reach out to help.
And for the record, GitHub Actions uses UTC by default.
Okay. Alrighty. We've got a minute left, so let's see if I can rush through these. There's a blog by Deba that needed to be reviewed, but it was reviewed. So we were just waiting for that to go out. And is it out? We're already at 9, still open. Deba's not here. Leave that to him. Keep track of SIG doc sub project changes. Ongoing thing, tweet content on squashing commits. No movement on that. Security comms guidelines. Avinash, if you want to continue working on that and if you need any help, you can ping me on Slack. And then Hina had that thing open where she was trying a couple different methods to make sure that we're tagged when a label is applied. There we go. It's not 9:01 yet, so I'm going to call it good. Alrighty. So I'm going to let that go there for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and I'll go ahead and stop our recording now.
See y'all.